Today I want to talk to you about this fantastic farm facility that we have in Korea. Now, how did this come about? Well, about 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, we were running one of our classic aquaponics masterclasses here in Brisbane, Australia, and we had 2 students come down from Korea to attend. When we run our aquaponics masterclasses, we always have overseas students that come down to Australia. So there's nothing particularly unusual about that, but I do remember one of them in particular, and that was one of the partners, Tae Byung, and he was a very quiet guy. I remembered him better because he was so quiet in the class. I was worried all the time that he was getting the information correctly. But anyway, the other partner's name was Aaron, and these 2 guys did the course, participated well, and away they went back to Korea, and I didn't think much more about it, I'd be perfectly honest. Except for about 9 months ago, I guess, I was contacted by Aaron, and he just gave me an update on his farm and a few facts about it, and I thought, wow, this sounds fantastic. So I asked Aaron, I said, is it possible for me to come and do a visit? And he said, absolutely, anytime you like. And so I was particularly interested in seeing a farm that was being run in cold weather conditions. And of course, South Korea, not North Korea, South Korea does get very cold winters. So that was my primary interest in wanting to go there in the middle of winter to see if we could film a farm in winter conditions. So that was our primary reason for wanting to go there, and to just see what one of our students had achieved. Now, I've got to tell you that Tae Byung and Aaron, the 2 CEOs of this company, they went back to Korea and they raised funds by a combination of methods through getting investors to be involved in it, and I think they did a small Kickstarter as well, and they raised the funds necessary in order to get the farm started. And they've started in an area that is a farming area, and there's a lot of existing greenhouses there, and what they've done is they've taken over a number of very, very large greenhouses. Now, Aaron, very, very kindly, has taken us on a guided tour of the farm, and the 6 or 7 greenhouses we walked through on the first day, and the scale of them is unbelievable.
The system that we saw during your course,
yes,
and we tried to make it fit for Korea, so we scaled it up a little bit, and but basically the same principle as from your program.
Well, your temperatures would be a lot different.
That's true. That's the main change we had to make, was to make sure that it would be okay to produce in the winter time too, because that's when we have our most clients.
I see lighting. Is that supplemental lighting or just lighting so you can work at night?
This is just lighting so we can work at night.
Okay.
But if you look underneath,
okay.
So basically when we start the plants out as seedlings,
okay.
Yeah,
I can see them down there floating on their thing.
They're grown with artificial lighting.
Okay.
So they don't take up too much space in the main growing area.
What a splendid idea. So using the sump area for your growing out.
And then because we can do that, the heat that the light produces kind of offsets the bitterness of the cold. And so,
okay. How good an idea is that? That's fabulous. It's maximum utilisation of space, as well as utilising the heat and the light in every way possible. So that's interesting.
So we made some changes since this farm, but basically the principle is the same. We have the fish growing in the fish tanks, and then it passes through a biofiltration device.
Yes.
Very much like your media beds.
Yes.
And then it goes to the plants and it returns. Same cycle.
Same cycle. Look at these young beets. Beautiful. They'd almost be ready to go into a salad mix.
That's true. That's true. So these are primarily going into salad mixes and pre-washed salad packages. Rhubarb
chard. Very nice. Excellent.
And we have basil for...
Good old basil, yeah. And what's this one? Is this... I don't recognise it. Is that...
this is just a type of lettuce.
Okay.
Soil itself is a mixture of perlite and peat moss.
And peat moss, okay. Can I take one out? Just have
sure.
A look? Yeah. Look at that. Beautiful. And that plant's doing very, very well. And will this plant stay in this for its whole life?
Yes, it will.
It does. It stays in there for its whole life.
So we transplant to a larger tray as the plant grows to make sure there's enough space for the growing.
Okay. That's all you do. You just space it out. Yeah. Excellent. It's beautiful.
So in traditional farming, you would need a lot more soil to support the root mass, but because it goes into a aquaponic solution, the root just grows out and then it supports the plant throughout its life.
Not a problem. Everything's great. Look at them. Aren't they healthy? Not an insect in sight. not an insect inside.
We do have beneficial bugs roaming around here and there,
Yep.
but no.
Do you do
aphids
regular
or-
releases, do you?
Every week.
Every week?
Every week,
You do
yeah.
releases.
Mm-hmm.
IPM. And here we got kale. Is that kale? Looks like
Yes,
kale.
it's garlic kale.
Yeah.
And this is also for salad
Yep.
greens.
Wonderful. Really beautiful condition. And I can see the water circulating here. It's coming in. The water appears as if it's moving.
Yes, it's
So these trays have got moving water going through them. And what, draining back into the sun?
yes. Right.
Yeah, so it's just all the same water. I'm just interested in this rather unique looking pot you've got here. It seems to have two kind of layers to it. Is there any particular reason for that? Like the bottom part, or is it just the way it is?
We designed the tray or the pot for aquaponics. Because we do use a soil type mix, we couldn't have it completely open.
Okay.
But then we still wanted good aeration, and then it's square. It's circular because it has to go into the pre-fitted trays that it fits.
Okay,
into.
okay, I understand. So there's a good design reason for it.
Yes.
It's not just an accident, it's actually designed that way. Excellent. So Aaron, how many plants would you be raising here at any given time?
So this particular plant supports 180,000
180,000 plants?
plants at any given time,
Uh-huh.
but it'll produce about 200,000 plants per month.
200,000 plants per month.
Yes.
Do you mind saying on camera, you were telling me a little bit earlier about the turnover, the US dollar turnover you have here. Do you mind
Oh
divulging
no,
that?
not at all. So this particular farm, we're doing about 1.2 million US in sales.
A month.
Yes, and by April or 2 months from now, we're expecting to double that number.
Wow.
Because we have new vendors and new people who are interested in utilizing our plants for their products.
Okay.
So the
So you're
farm-
able to ramp up that much production that quickly?
Yes, right now it's operating at about a 50% efficiency.
Okay.
So if we utilize the entire farm at full capacity, we can double the production.
Okay, so
numbers.
it's you say 50% capacity, that's only a space thing. It's not design thing, it's just as purely space.
Yeah, spacing. We don't want to, plant anything that's not going to be used because it'll go to waste.
Yes.
So we try to manage how we plant based on the demand that we'll have. But on average, the demand has been growing about 19% per month.
19% per month. That's extraordinary. It would be reasonable for me then to say that you must have a good product that's in demand.
Yes, it is.
That's growing at 19%. I mean, most business people around the world would just be mind-boggled by that. Can you imagine business people or large firms looking for some kind of product or business that they could have that would expand at 19%? They would say, not possible, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
But we do have
Wonderful.
the benefit of not having too much competition.
Yes.
But I mean, the market is so big.
And
that-
the uniqueness of your product as well, isn't it?
That's true. So
You were saying a little bit earlier to me about when we were having lunch in your beautiful staff restaurant about the cosmetic. Do you mind telling a little bit about that, or would you rather
Sure.
keep that as not a trade secret?
no, that's totally fine too, because we would like to see it happen all around the world.
Yes.
And so we initially started by experimenting with some plants to see if they could be used in a cosmetic application. And a couple of large companies took interest, and we've been doing a lot of R&D for them within this farm and aquaponic farms that we operate. And we found that the plants that are grown using aquaponics, they synthesize completely different chemicals than traditionally hydroponic or soil-based
So
plants
they're
do.
good chemicals, though. They're not bad chemicals.
Yeah, they're good chemicals.
They're actually
Yeah.
in demand by these cosmetic companies.
Exactly. So these are proteins and different types of molecules that are synthesized that help with anti-aging. They're basically antioxidants.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
amazing. So that's a real groundbreaker, that one.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, in all my travels, I've not heard any other aquaponic grower speak about that aspect. So that's a brand new one for me.
Yeah, and we're very excited, and we hope that it becomes a trend all around the world.
Yeah.
And we feel like it is going to be.
So now at lunchtime you were saying that not only have they got these extra components in the plant that weren't there before, but the cosmetic companies are really interested in the purity of what you're doing, aren't they?
Exactly.
Because it's aquaponics?
Yeah. In particular in Asia, more than what you eat, it's what you put in your face is a lot more important.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's like that in Australia, but
Well, it doesn't matter with my face, so it's all over.
so many consumers are very conscious about their cosmetics and what kind of chemicals are going into the plants that produce these types of cosmetics.
Yeah.
So just the story of not being able to use pesticides because of the fish, and just the clean production method is very appealing for the consumer.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just such a great story, isn't it? I mean, hello, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it, when you think about it? I hadn't even considered cosmetics as an outlet. It hadn't even crossed my mind. So there you are, Aaron. Thank you. That's a brand new one.
No problem.
You're a groundbreaker on that one, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I always wanted my own train. Look, now I've got it, my own railway tracks. Fantastic. See this? Look, one person can move it easily, even when fully loaded. How about that? Now, Aaron, I know it's common in hydroponic farms to have a railway track, but quite frankly, I've never seen one before with these rollers on it. So you can roll, you know, your trays of seedlings in when you go and distribute, and obviously your trays of harvested plants. Yeah. So this is your design background, isn't it? Just this, I know it's only something very little, but it would make a huge difference to today's production, wouldn't it?
That's true. Also, you can work by yourself rather than having a partner, and that reduces the need to always be with somebody.
Labour costs. Yeah. Just a simple thing like that. The width of it, the rollers, and everything fits. Exactly. Everything in the farm fits. How good is that? You were showing us earlier when we were talking about those polypropylene foams, that they had magnets in it. Now, can we see how that works for us?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So, basically, after you harvest one,
yep.
The next one will be further down. So you pull it, and it's magnetized. So you have to be a little careful, but basically you make sure the magnets are attached, and you pull the whole.
Look at that. And it would get easier every one you pull out, obviously.
Yeah, and then you just go down the line like that.
So you can pull from that end and bring them all along. What a brilliant idea. Simple and fantastic. Aaron, do you mind me asking a question about aeration? It's so important in an aquaponic system, isn't it? Particularly in the rafts.
Yes.
And I noticed here you've got excellent aeration going in here, and I hope you don't mind, but I lifted the lid a second ago to have a look, and I can see you've got the aeration going really, really well, all the way through. That's so important, isn't it?
Yes, aeration is probably the most important part of the system, because you want aerobic activity as much as possible.
Yeah.
So you'll see the plant production drop off if you don't have proper aeration.
Okay.
So not only the fish, but the plants have a direct correlation to the dissolved oxygen. So you want as much aeration everywhere in the system as possible.
Yeah. Often people ask me the question, they say, oh, can we not have to have aeration, you know, because they see it as a problem. And we've even heard recently one farmer in America tell people you don't need aeration. Can you believe that? No. Well, I'm not making it up, that's true.
If you don't want plants, then...
Yes, you don't want plants, yeah. You don't want live fish either. Yeah. So that's great. I can see it's nice and neatly arranged right through the middle of this channel you've got here. So the water flow through here guarantees, you've got it organised in such a way that it guarantees that the water will be evenly aerated as it comes through this channel.
Exactly, yeah.
And what's this? That's 1,200 millimetres wide roughly by the look of it.
Yes, correct.
And we've got the water coming in here. Is that right, both sides?
Water coming in here, and then water exiting the other side.
Exiting the other side. Thank you, Aaron. That's absolutely excellent. A simple thing such as aeration is often overlooked, isn't it? And can cause massive failures in your crop if it goes bad on you and dies for some reason.
So we have backup generators, and the only thing it powers is the aerators, because it's the only thing we can't have off for too long.
Yeah.
It's the most important piece.
You get fish die really quickly if that happens.
Exactly.
So Aaron, this is the fish tank, or one of them?
Yeah, so it's a little messy because we do a lot of testing here. And basically this one fish tank powers this grow system.
All is through here?
Yes. And,
wow. Wow, that's amazing. Look at that. Got that with the camera. That's from one fish tank. And it's probably not working to capacity, probably.
Yes, not to capacity.
Yeah.
So we have about 800 kilograms of fish in here.
Yeah. And look, I can see excellent aeration going on. Have a look at that.
Very important.
Look at the aeration. Fantastic. And what kind of fish is it, Aaron?
So this is actually Israeli carp.
Israeli carp. Why are they different to some other carp? What's the difference?
The scales and The taste is different.
Uh-huh.
And the way Israeli carp came into Korea was during the war, the Korean War. Foreign aid brought Israeli carp in to help with the protein deficiency.
Okay.
And ever since then,
It's been here.
yeah, it's been part of the Korean diet.
Okay.
So we started with this because they're very robust to pH changes,
Yep.
temperature changes. So for an
Got a very
experiment,
broad range of...
Yeah.
Can I ask you one very delicate question now? Because a lot of people in Australia and the US, when you say the word carp, they go, oh, terrible to eat, lots of bones. Is that true or not?
there are a lot of bones, but they're
Yep.
good to eat.
Are they?
Yeah.
So they cook up well and they're just beautiful on the plate.
Not as much as jade perch or the fish.
Yeah, but
you
still
have.
a good fish.
Yeah, it's a good fish,
that's good to hear. So there you go. So how many litres is this tank again?
This one is about 14 tons.
14 tons, 14,000 litres.
Yeah, 14,000 liters.
Absolutely excellent. And I can see you've utilised a good old-fashioned swimming pool here and turned it into a fish tank. Well, it's good, it's a quite tough, robust material and it's doing the job exceptionally well.
Whatever works.
Yeah, exactly right. So up here we can see too, they must be biofilters, are they?
Oh no, these are actually emergency water tanks.
Okay.
Just in case the water level drops too
Like
low.
a headed tank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the biofilters are actually under here, but
Can't see them too well.
I can't see them too well.
Oh, yeah. And I can see you've got a row of, you've got your pumps all right up there, manifolded off, so you've got spare pump capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. Can I pick up one of these, Aaron, do you mind? And show the camera? See, there you go, same design of pot plant. You can see it here, this square top and the round base. It's very good. You can see the roots that are sticking out here that go into the water that's flowing by, the aquaponic water. There you go. Wow, so you've got actually here, you would have here, by the look of it to me, 3 separate farms. Would that be right, operating in here by the look of it?
Five separate sections.
5 separate systems running. So you would say to me then as a farmer that it's smart to modularise?
To always base it off consumer demand. So if it's
Okay.
better for you to be diverse in your production,
Yep.
it's better to have a modular system. But if it's only going to be one particular crop, which we don't recommend, but it might be more cost effective to build one system.
So you're actually growing more than one crop in the one system though, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
It's not like hydroponics where you're stuck with monocropping.
Exactly.
You can grow multiple crops.
Yeah.
And that's one of the absolute unique things about aquaponics is that you're not stuck with monocropping.
Exactly.
But from a system operational point of view, you've got separate systems that are independent of each other, so that's good for maintenance, isn't it? And
It's
all
good
that
for
kind of thing.
maintenance, and just in case there's bugs or some kind of problem with the water,
Yep.
it's better to be able to, change out 1/5 of the farm instead of the whole farm. So
Absolutely.
in a redundancy or safety aspect, it's better to modularize the
Because
farm.
it's cash in your pocket, isn't it?
It's
If you had-
true.
if you had a whole farm failure, you're in big trouble.
Exactly. But with aquaponics, when we used to do traditional hydroponics, we would have to flush and clean the entire farm multiple times a year. But this particular farm, we've never done that in the few years it's
It's amazing. It's music to my ears. We keep telling people that, but some people, particularly people that come to aquaponics from a hydroponic background, find that difficult to get their heads around, because they're so used to this idea of sanitizing everything and then adding a bit of this and adding a bit of that, that they find it difficult to understand that you can actually operate this way. And just look at the success of it, just to look across all the plants here, it's just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
So really from a cost standpoint too, people don't really factor in when they're making their business proposals about the time and labor it costs to clean your farm.
Yes.
And that's a huge benefit to aquaponics because you spend so much less time cleaning and sanitizing and making sure you're killing all the bacteria because
We
there's
want
such
the bacteria.
yeah,
We
it's
love
a
it.
good ecosystem.
We love bacteria, yeah.
So from a business standpoint, it's very, very advantageous.
Excellent. Okay, Aaron, to summarise then, just 3 or 4 dot points. What do you think the main advantages are that you've incorporated into this new greenhouse that you probably weren't maximising before?
Okay, so the main one is ease of harvesting, and
Yep,
ease of
and
planting.
that's because they're up higher.
Yes,
Yep.
and they're also side harvested.
Yep.
And another key issue is lower investment cost.
Okay.
So the initial capital expenditure has gone down significantly. The production per square meter also went up.
Okay.
And so we're going to be able to generate more revenue from the same
Square meter.
yeah. And then Also, this farm is not only capable of growing tilapia and carp, but also eels.
Now that's interesting. Tell us about these eels. I'm fascinated by that.
So eels in especially Asia, Japan, Korea, eels are a delicacy, and in some areas they're actually considered an aphrodisiac. So they're very in high demand, especially to men.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of growing carp and tilapia, which have a lower per kilo market price, we're growing eel because the input unit, the input feed cost is about the same as tilapia or.
So they eat the
carp.
same food? Same
It's a little
food?
different, but the conversion rate is much higher in eel.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so it's a higher protein, but they retain 70% of the mass of the feed
Okay.
in their body weight.
Okay.
So we're growing eel to increase the revenue of the farms. So right now we're only selling the produce, but once we start selling the eel as well,
That'll
the sales
just
will
up
go.
Now, look, pardon my ignorance, but as I understand it, you can't breed eels. So where do you get them from? Is that correct? You can't breed them?
Yes, and there's a lot of environmental issues concerning eels. So the typical species, Japonica, which is the main eel breed, we're not doing that because it does have a harmful effect on the environment.
Okay.
But we're doing variations of that eel, which are found in mass in Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, and Korea, in the
So
South
you
Korea.
get them in, you buy them in.
And they actually taste better, so we're hoping it'll be a much larger market in the end.
Oh, wow, that's very clever. See, another add-on, another variation to the business that makes it more profitable.
Exactly.
So it's not just about growing lettuce. There's a whole lot more to it than that, isn't it?
Yeah, you get the
Obviously.
protein too.
Yeah, it's really good. Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.